Welcome to our literature class. I am your literature guru and master, Kitagua Kevins. Kit Kevins, always talking ink. Our literature class today, we delve straight into the foreword of our literary set text, Fathers of Nation, written by Paul B. Vitta. In the foreword, it mentions a man arrested after attempting to sell highly secret, confidential state documents written for 100 eyes only. After his arrest, the man disappears and he is never seen again. What we see here is that the state machinery is used to silence whistleblowers. What we can get is that truth tellers and whistleblowers disappear without a trace. They disappear mysteriously. And a closer look at the forward, we realize that the people's remark carry an undertone of fear mixed with resignation. In a nutshell, we are saying the people know the truth, but they are scared. They dare not confront the truth. That is why towards the end of the book, and I'll read, it says, and that exactly is what all Gambians did. This is what they did when the summit failed. They still rated it as having been the most successful summit ever held. I repeat, they still rated it as having been the most successful summits ever held. They were looking it their own way. This story will look at it another way. The Gambians know the truth, but they cannot. Why do you think they did not want why did they say so? Why did they rate the Gambian as the most successful summit ever held? You realize that this is because the Gambians live in a dictatorship and corrupt system, where truth is defined by those in power. And therefore the people, the citizens, the ordinary people, have to adopt a survival tactic by praising failure so that they avoid being punished. Basically, that is what is happening here. The foreword has a variety of styles that Paul B. Vitta has employed. One of them is irony. Look, the summit, it is said that the people of Gambia say this is the most successful summit ever held. But you and I, the reader, we know very well that the summit was a failure. That is even why the heads of state boycotted a dinner that was organized by the host country, Gambia. It was not successful. In a nutshell, what we see is the irony brings out the absurdity that is with political propaganda. It exposes basically that kind of absurdity. Number two, we see satire as a style. Paul B. Vitta ridicules African governments that rewards failure and silences truth. The novel Fathers of Nation mocks at African governments and especially African leaders who boast about success, yet in reality, and the obvious thing is we see failure. They'll always talk about successful projects that we cannot account for. Number three, we see symbolism. In the foreword, for 100 eyes only is basically a symbol of secrecy and exclusion of citizens from the truth. They are not given any truth or any information. Number two, when we see a man who was arrested attempting to sell these documents, it is said the man disappeared, never to be seen again. This is a symbol of the oppression suppression of human rights, um, misuse of power, failure of good leadership, and all those kind of atrocities that is meted on the ordinary citizens by the governments of Africa. Number three, the summit itself. The summit is basically a symbol of gatherings, very expensive gatherings that are supposed to discuss and deliberate on useful things, but by the end of the day, such meetings are hollow and they bring nothing useful. The narrator, number four, has employed a narrative technique. We see that the forward uses a detached kind of narration. That is why towards the end of this, at the end of the forward, I'll read. He says, look at this detachment. The narrator detaches himself from the story and he says, this story will look at it another way. Why is the author using this? This is basically to build anticipation and create suspense so that as readers, we may go into the story to find out how the story has looked at it in another way. Lastly, let us look at the implications of the forward in the entire story. Number one, the first implication of this forward in the story is that the forward sets the tone and the mood of the story. The forward basically foreshadows the novel's themes of corruption, betrayal, surveillance, oppression, failure of African leaders, among many other themes that we come across in the story. Number two, the forward prepares the reader. It prepares the reader into the story. From the start, we see African governance or governments are not transparent. That is why we are told for 100 eyes only, secrecy and all that. And therefore, what we see throughout the book is that African governments are not transparent and citizens, ordinary citizens, are very powerless. That is why the man disappears, never to be seen again. And lastly, the forward has very serious links with the summit. What we see, the summit has basically, or rather before this, in the forward, we see a lot of secrecy. And that is what also is seen in the summit. The summit carries a lot of secrecy, which is shrewd. There's a lot of manipulation and such kind of things that happen in the summit. All this is actually seen in the forward. I have been your teacher and master and guru of literature, Kitagwa Kevins. Kit Kevins, it is always talking ink. Thank you.